How do you maintain excellence across those different specialties without losing focus or burning out?
That's a great question. It is still niched in because currently mine and the team's specialty is helping to sell homes that failed to sell the first time. So expired listings and geofarming is really our niche. We stay very focused on that because there is honestly such a tremendous amount of opportunity, and there's so many people who need to be served. There's so many people who had a goal to sell their house and it failed, and we get to come in, assess, and be honest with people, meaning we don't take all listings. If we aren't on the same page with the seller, if we feel like we can't best serve them, if we feel it's better they stay, I feel like we're healing people every single day, even if we're not taking the listing, because we're just being honest, we're being authentic and genuine, and that's another part of my mantra. I stay very focused on just...
Welcome back to the Leverage Lounge podcast, where we sit down with agents, creators, and business owners who are scaling smarter, not just harder. Now, today's guest is someone I've watched grow in real time. She leads the Be Infinite group, and she's ranked among the top 1% of realtors in Central Florida and has closed over 245 homes, with 88 of those closings being in the past 12 months alone. So let's welcome to the lounge, Corinne DeFillipus. Corinne, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It's a happy Saturday. I'm super excited to be here.
I'm excited for you to be here. Thank you for saying yes to the Leverage Lounge. Our people want to hear from you because you've got the goods. You've got some great nuggets. You've got wisdom to share, and you're doing it. You are actually a living embodiment of what a lot of agents are aspiring to be. And the cool thing about this is that this podcast is not just for real estate agents. These are true nuggets of wisdom that anybody in any business can kind of pick up, and whether it's being focused on leverage, whether it's focused on how to scale their business, different ways to grow. That's what this is all about. So we want to hear your story. So Corinne, let's start from the very beginning. Tell us your story in a short way. Tell us your story.
No, absolutely. Well, Mike, I always like to kind of start off just because right now I'm 31 years old, but a lot of people don't know that I didn't have, I would say, a normal childhood growing up. I spent a lot of my childhood in hospitals. And I say that to say I had to have an identity shift at such a young age. So when I was 4, I was actually diagnosed with a super rare tumor to the spinal cord. It's called a pilocytic astrocytoma tumor. It's 1 in a million children. It was the size of an eggplant in my spinal cord when I was 4. And it took 3 surgeries to remove the tumor. So I had surgeries at 4, 5, and 6, had to undergo a lot of hospitalization with chemotherapy, radiation, platelet transfusion. So that really was like my childhood. Now, what I will say is I am so blessed that I did honestly deal with that in the early stages of life because it's really shaped me on who I am today. And then I like to say I'm a walking statistic, right? So the tumor was 1 in a million in children. And then in my early 20s, because of everything I had to undergo with treatment, I was actually diagnosed with cancer. And that cancer was like a 0.5% chance it would come. So again, once again, it's just, how do you identify yourself? And I like to say I'm a statistic, right? I'm 1 in a million. I'm the one, right? And that's how I choose to label myself versus using it as a crutch. So it's really shaped my strength with going through that stuff at such a young age. It's kept me really grounded, kept me really humble, because if you don't have your health, you have nothing, right? The material world, all of this stuff is great, but without health, that stuff is irrelevant, right? So I learned that at such a young age. Real estate, though, was not in the cards for me at all. I don't come from a family of real estate. I don't even really come from a family of true, I would say, entrepreneurship. I have family who's worked in marketing, social work, construction, been in the military. So I was kind of that first one to stumble into real estate, which I'll get into a little bit, and go into something that was unknown, something that we all know it because we buy houses, but we weren't in it in the business, in the buildup of the business, right? So I actually went to college. Well, early on in my younger childhood, I really wanted to be a marine biologist. I love dolphins. I used to know every species of dolphin that there was. I was obsessed with marine life.
I feel like every child wants to work with animals at some point in their life before they grow up.
They're great. They're the best thing ever. So went through that phase. And then I was a huge CSI, criminal minds gal. So I was let me go into criminal justice, right? I'm gonna fight crime. That's what I'm gonna do. I knew I wouldn't be a cop. I knew I wouldn't do anything in the military. Actually, probably wouldn't even be able to get in with my medical background, to be honest. But I actually went to UCF, was a criminal justice major. I actually interned for Homeland Security here in downtown Orlando. And it was super cool experience because I was working with the higher ups in the government. So I was I'm going to go into the government. I didn't really know which department, but I knew I was going to apply for the government. I graduated college in 2016, and that was actually the same year that there was a hiring freeze in the government. The same day I was actually given my job under the Department of Justice as a legal assistant, I was also diagnosed with cancer, like that exact same day, 4 hours later. So in that moment, once again, because I was 22 years old when I was diagnosed with cancer, I was like, all right, you got to make a decision. What do you want to do? I was waiting so long for my clearance. I was just really wanting to do something. I was out of college. I didn't have a job, so I got into some more serving. And I remember just making sure I checked out my medical stuff. I had to, undergo through surgery, undergo through, being in the hospital again, recovering. And
I
I
have
was
to
just,
imagine in your mind, you were thinking that the worst is behind you, right? It's like, all right, let me I've gotten past a lot of that. Now I'm ready to start my life and really
Mhm,
take on this next chapter. And then you
100%.
get this news.
It's a word that scares a lot of people, but to be honest, it's just under knowing what you know. What's the treatment? What's the recovery? How do you get rid of it? How do you move forward, right? It's all about how do you swim, not how do you sink. And so again, I had embodied that identity at such a young age because 5% of you is conscious mind, right? But 95% of you is subconscious. So like your body has habits that it's picked up at such a young age. So my subconscious was going to work from like fight or flight day one on like we got to survive, right? Like we're not going to sink. So kind of went back into that mode. And again, once I recovered, once I got out, once I said I was in remission, I ended up just, applying to anything. I was like, I just want to get a job. I want to do something. I was really good at school. Like I was driven, but I really didn't know what direction I really wanted to go into in life. I didn't have like a really set plan. I was just like taking it day by day and figuring out as it went and just enjoying life. And I ended up applying for jobs and I ended up getting hired at this one job at an insurance broker here in Orlando. It was a boutique insurance broker hiring a sales agent, looking to scale, drive, all this stuff. I was like, why not? And I really had a good interview with the mentor that I had at the time. We hit it off. I didn't expect insurance, but I was like, it's a job, right? It's a salary, it's a position, it's going to teach me something new. I had to get licensed in insurance, which God, that was boring, but we got it. Um, but I was the only sales agent. So at the time, I thought, okay, well, that just means I'm going to take all the inbound stuff. And my mentor at the time was like, nope, you actually have to go call people and get business. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, I've never done this my whole life. Like, what do you mean call? Because I worked in retail, restaurants, but I've never done sales. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, and in those places, people were coming to you. You weren't having to call people. It was no outbound. It was all inbound, right?
yeah, I never cold called anyone. Like, I never did
Yeah.
that at all. Like, I didn't even have a drive to do that. I was like, okay, like whatever. So I ended up just cold calling realtors and lenders. I wasn't even given lists. Like it was just like go flow, right? So I went on Zillow because of course that's where you could find all local realtors and lenders, and I would just call them. I also created a super big LinkedIn funnel. I had about 5,000 connections, and I would DM people every single day, just basically saying, hey, I'm an insurance broker. My goal is to, add a lot of value to you in the process. Make sure your real estate deals close, your loan deals close. Make sure you guys are educated, the client's educated. I handle everything. I get them the best price. And I grew a lot of really good business from that. And I ended up realizing I was actually pretty good at forming relationships with strangers through the phone based off of just, being myself and building that rapport. So I did so good at the time, but there was an income cap, right? Like he knew at the time he could never pay me what I could make in a different position. So my boss at the time was actually the one who licensed me in real estate. I was getting my real estate license while I was still working a full-time job. It took me about 3 months because I had to do it after hours, study, do the online course, pass the test. And he was like, all right, like, you're never going to make the money you want to make here, so go off into real estate. So I wasn't even at probably like the best financial position to go off into real estate.
Yeah.
My family we were all in shock. Like, what is it? What do you do? How do you do this? The good news is I of course built some relationships in the real estate industry that I was able to ask people questions like, where would you go? Where would you start? What would you do? But all I knew is, okay, well, I was cold calling people here, so now I'm just going to cold call people there, right? Like,
Okay.
how hard can it be? Like, this is going to be fun, right? So flew the coop, just went straight into real estate. My family was supportive, but of course they're like, hey, give it some time. But if nothing happens, go get a job, like go get a real job. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to make it happen. I don't know how, but I'll figure it out. So I joined a boutique brokerage in Winter Garden and did the same thing I did in insurance. I would just call consumers because I had leads. I was on a leads team. That was the one thing I was advised, get on a team. Don't try to do this alone. I'm glad I got that advice. So did the training, made the calls, got a few buyers actually. I remember the first contract I ever got, I fell through. And the second buy, yeah, you know those times.
So much for the easy part, right?
Yeah, there was not easy. It was months were passing. Nothing was happening. I had one buyer, and ironically, out of all the houses that he decided to put an offer in and close on, he ended up putting in an offer and closing on the house that the listing agent was my current mentor and sponsor at EXP now. So I was led to it, right? And it was a horrible deal, to say the least. Took 6 months till I closed my first real estate transaction. So I will preface that 6 months to close my first deal. I mean, that first deal was horrible, Mike. It was absolutely horrible.
Was that because of you, or because of your mentor, or the fact that you did not even have a mentor at the time?
I definitely, looking back, never blame the previous brokerage I was at. I would definitely say I was going through it by myself and figuring it out and pivoting by myself. It came down to the point where I ended up finally calling Gil, and I'm like, hey, like, we're like months into the process. I'm like, where's a hot tub that still needs to be fixed? And then, Gil, so he's just like, we're past the inspection period. Like, there's no fixing a hot tub. But him and I had a really good conversation, and he lit an intention in me where he was just like, I could tell you're a really hard worker, but what mentorship are you getting right now? I was like, I don't know. I'm just figuring it out. Like, I didn't even put a closing date on the contract. I didn't get escrow in until 3 days before closing. I'd show up at the title company like 3 times a week, like, I'm ready to close. And they're like, that's not how this works. Like,
kudos to him for not ripping your head off, right? There's agents, I'm sure you've been in plenty of situations now, fast forwarding, right? Where sometimes the other agent on the other side of the deal is just not a nice person.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do business with some people and you're like, how the heck did anybody hire them to be their agent?
No, absolutely.
So thankfully he wasn't one of those.
And it's also, you give out the energy that you get, right? So I was going at it like just being nice too. Like, hey, like, could we do this? Could we do that? And I wasn't trying to act like I had been very experienced, but I also wasn't trying to give away my cards that I was brand new and this is my first deal. He definitely knew I was brand new and this was my first deal. My buyer knew it was my first deal too. Like, everyone knew, but I just kept moving forward, right? So the deal finally closed, and obviously Gil and I had built our own relationship. He knew how hard I would work, and he gave me an opportunity because I was 6 months in, finally made my first check. Wasn't a lot of money, to be honest, after splits, transaction fees. And I'm like, is this it? Like, this is a lot. Like, I have to do this all over again. Like, how do people have a living off of this? And I was 25 at the time, so it's not like I was, at a position where I had like a lot of experience in different jobs and careers. So I didn't really know any better. I didn't know what was possible, but he had told me, hey, like, if you come join my team, I'll turn you into a top agent. I see you one day coaching and leading other people. And I thought he was crazy because I was like, I didn't even get escrow until 3 days before. I didn't even put a closing date on.
I'm barely leading myself. What do you mean leading other people?
I'm like, leading who? Like, the blind leading the blind? Like, that sounds about right. But like, what was I leading? So, but he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself yet. And I think that's super, super powerful because as a leader and a mentor now, I also get that same vision when I meet people with potential. Like, there are qualities that someone would have that automatically lead you to know that they will get there one day. They just need the correct guidance. So I got the correct guidance. And joining the company in downtown Orlando, I have been with, obviously we've been together for a while, but I have been there for 6 years. Actually, September 19th will be officially my like 6-year anniversary. So woohoo! Who knew it would be here 6 years? And once again, I just got into the training, took advantage of the team, learned. I didn't get anything part-time. So I will say this, like, I never was, hey, I'm going to get a part-time gig while I'm getting this together. I was all in. I
never halfway in, halfway out. You were all in from the beginning.
All in. So I just stuck with 2 very good pillars. I stuck still with cold calling leads. And I stuck with open houses when I learned what open houses were. I loved open houses. And I was just building relationships. So my first year in the business, I closed about 20 transactions, which I feel like for a first-year agent was really good. And I started gaining that momentum. And it was mostly on the buyer side. And of course, I don't know if you remember when we walked into 2020, we were all super excited for the year. And then the world shut down. And I'm like, can I get a break? Like, what's going on? But there's always a silver lining, and we had low interest rates at the time, and that was our pivot. Or that was our way to get people to continue to make moves. And as you remember, 2021, that was a time to be alive. That was everyone, their mother, their sister, their grandpa, their grandma, their aunt, everyone wanted to buy a home at the same time.
That's right.
So the challenge of that time was if you were on the buyer side, you had a lot of buyers who wanted to make moves, but the struggle was finding them a home and winning that offer, right? So I tripled my business that year specifically. I closed just under $20 million in sales, about 45 units. And there's no issue with scaling fast, but when you do scale fast, you got to keep the momentum going because real estate's like this. It's not
It can be.
like that.
It can be a roller coaster for sure.
I was over the moon, right? I had made the most amount of money that I ever had in life. I bought my first home that year. I bought my first investment property in another country that year. I was speaking on stages, speaking on podcasts. Everyone's like, what's going on? How did you do that? I'm like, I just made calls and did open houses and built relationships with people. Oh, it wasn't rocket science. I didn't start real estate or insurance with a sphere. I'm not from Orlando. I'm originally from New York and lived in Sarasota for 16 years. So I knew no one here and I was not at the peak buying age where all my friends were buying homes. So I wasn't going to rely on them. I got to go meet new friends and new families and get to know people. And I was coachable and moldable and I didn't get my own ego in the way. I just learned. So the following year, we get a reality check again. Mike, I was just talking to someone about this the other day, but really, I feel like anyone who started their real estate career in 2019 to now truly dealt with probably one of the most wicked times in real estate that had ever occurred because it was not linear and it was not consistent. It was the most inconsistent 6 years of my entire life,
Absolutely.
It just constantly kept changing. So I do feel like what's to come is what I'm really excited for because I've seen it all at this point, right?
Yeah, that's right. We've navigated it and we're still alive. We're still surviving and able to tell the story.
Exactly. So third year in the business, I got another reality check where again, stay consistent, stay humble because that's when rates went up overnight. That's when we went from 2-3% interest rates to 6% interest rates. We had about 20 to 30% of clients pulling off the market. And things slowed down. So what was a $20 million producer went to a $10 million producer. And I know some people might say, oh, well, that's still good, but not when you have bigger bills and you have a higher expectation for yourself and you're being looked at by other people. You have this pressure on you to keep up that momentum and keep up that facade. And there's a bit of ego that gets in the way with real estate. It happens to everyone. It's very, very natural, right? But I was not in a good place at that time. And I once again was like, is this what I'm supposed to do? It was great for 1-2 years, but now I just went down. My failure, what did I do wrong? All this stuff. And then little behold, the higher up, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, they all have a plan for you. And that plan's in place if you just believe and you just keep moving forward. So I was actually traveling over to our EXP conference in Vegas. And I ended up being put on the wrong flight and ended up sitting next to the person that I hired as my coach. So it was an unexpected blessing. I ended up sitting on this plane, pissed off, wondering why me? Why is this happening to me? Why is my flight late? Why am I on this wrong flight? What's going on? I'm pissed off at the world. I sit next to this guy and he's like, my name's Haas Pratt. And I'm like, who are you? And he hands me this book called Listing Boss. And he's like, I took 30 listings in 30 days and I teach agents across the entire country how to be the top listing agent in their market. I coach some of the top 1% of agents in the whole country. And I'm like, wow. Okay.
You're like, maybe this was the right flight.
Exactly. We'll never know. We'll never know wrong, right? But it happened, right? So I was like, can I hire you? And he's like, well, I don't really coach agents one-on-one anymore unless I happen to meet them by accident on an airplane. So hired Haas, coached with him for a few months. And then right when I got back home, again, I didn't kind of walk into a new business model. I ran straight into the wall of a new business model. I mean, I stopped everything that I knew. I stopped cold calling buyer leads. I stopped working on my funnels. I stopped my CRM. I stopped everything that I knew and I went all in on my coaching program. And I shifted from a buyer's agent to a listing agent. That was an identity shift. And that identity shift came with a big change. So it wasn't just changing your business model. It was changing your habits. I went from waking up at 9 a.m. to waking up at 6 a.m., going to the gym every single day. I watched the people I was spending time with. I watched the things I was listening to. I was listening to more podcasts, listening to my coaching program. I was staying focused. I was staying consistent. New levels, new devils. I was not letting those devils get anywhere near me. I was just all in. And I quickly shifted into a listing agent because that same year I did about 25 million in sales, closing about 50 transactions, 40 of them being listings. And that was my first year on the listing side. And I once again was hooked because I ended up discovering that this was the business model that made the most sense to leverage and scale a business and gain back more of your time. And then I was so blessed though that I understood the buyer side and made me a better listing agent, and it made me a better coach because I could teach on both, on how you can outbound prospect, but this was the business model that made the most sense. So I continued into 24 with that same business model, but I had a new problem. I had too many listings at one time. I was carrying about 20 listings, and I had put ISAs in place. I had put VAs in place. I had put systems in place, which is great. I knew I could scale. And then I made a decision. Do I keep going the single agent route and keep everything to myself and build this business this way? Or do I finally start my team? Now, Mike, I don't know if you know this, but I almost started a team in 22, the year where my business tanked. I almost started a team. And I'm so happy I didn't end up going through with that because I was nowhere near ready to be a leader. I was nowhere near ready to be a leader. I mean, not anyone can be an agent. It's still very challenging to be an agent, but not everyone can be a leader, right?
Absolutely.
You have to have qualities where you are unselfishly going to be taking a step back and building a secondary business with and helping other people. Other people are relying on you now. So I decided to finally start my team in 24 because I had a partner of mine who had been a part of the same team as me, and she was struggling in her business, and like, hey, I'm going to start this team. Do you want to be the guinea pig, right? I don't know what we're going to do, but just follow everything I say, call this person, use this system, do this, do that. We'll have this going on and let's see what happens. She's like, okay, I'm all in, right? She started with me in March, and by end of April, she had 4 closings in 1 week. I was like,
Let's go.
Perfect. This is working. And she kept that business going. She actually went from the previous year being $1.5-2 million agent to that next year being an $8 million agent. So she quadrupled her business in 1 year. I'm like, great, this works. Perfect. So we brought on the next one, and then we brought on the next one, and then we brought on the next one, and organically grew into the Be Infinite group, which spells out the word big. And I still remember, I don't know if I ever told you the story, the day that I thought of the name, because not that names matter, because I always believe it's people that matter, but I knew I was always doing something different than most people. I was always the different one in the friend group in high school. I was always a different one in my family. I just always was never like others, in my opinion, right? I could never put like my finger on it. So I knew that when I started this team, it wasn't going to be about me. It was going to be about what got me through these last 5 years, right? What did I have to do to continue to move forward in my real estate career, during my medical background, through anything I dealt with in high school, college, like whatever we deal with just growing up from early kid to teens.
All the things,
right? All the fun times. And I thought about it and I'm like, I love the word infinite because infinite means an unlimited set of possibilities, right? And thinking of the name, I'm like, Be Infinite. I'm like, I like Be Infinite. I'm like, Be Infinite Real Estate, Be Infinite Team. And I'm like, Be Infinite Group. That spells out the word big. I'm like, oh my God, Be Infinite Group. Think big, big. Oh my God, that's the name, right? It was like an epiphany. So I remember calling Gil. I'm like, I thought of the name. It's the Be Infinite Group. We're thinking big. And he was like, okay, I'll see you in 30 minutes. Tell me more when I see you, right? So that was the start of it. I was like, that's the mantra. That's the identity shift. This is a personal development team that helps agents heal their business in 6 months or less to be able to understand how to take a listings-based business that gets you more listings, that gets you buyers, that heals your mindset so you can grow into the highest and best version of yourself. That was it, right? So that is the mantra of the team. And it's been so incredibly fulfilling to be a team leader. I still do my own production, and I'm super grateful because though these last 2 years, I have taken a really big step back with outbound prospecting, meaning I pretty much let go of the wheel like probably November of last year, which is unlike what I've ever done. I had 8 years in the books of outbound prospecting and being in full control of my business. And I just really put a stop to the consistency of it. And I said, I'm just going to let the systems work in its place because I have ISA systems, I have agent systems, and I have my past clients. And so I'm so grateful that this year specifically, the production that I've done making no outbound prospecting just really goes to show that if you plant those seeds in the beginning and you work your butt off in the beginning and just trust in the process, the sprouts will come up and they're going to keep coming up, right? And it's just going to be an ever flowing shape of business. So I have been so grateful to be a referral agent because that was a huge goal of mine. I was like, I really want to be a referred business. That's what everyone wants, but I had to work to get there, right? Had I not started with outbound prospecting, I definitely would not be in this boat. I definitely wouldn't be a team leader. I wouldn't have had the numbers to account for. And so super grateful for the team. I mean, technically right now we're a first year team and I just measured that we're at, over 60 units closed year to date. That's not including my production, right? So I'm
That's
super
awesome.
excited to see what we end up doing year one. And it's not about the numbers and it's not about the money at the end of the day. It's really about how many agents' lives change to change more agents' lives, to change the consumer's life, because we really help people build a financial freedom funnel. And I think it's the most rewarding experience ever. And in my opinion, we're just getting started, right?
What I love about your story is that just like your real estate career, just like our lives, there is no linear path to success.
Mm-mm.
There are ups and downs. There are challenges. And making sure that we don't allow these challenges, these brick walls, as we've called it, like making sure that the walls that we run into don't stop us. We either go through them or we go around them. We find a way over or under them, but we don't allow it to stop us. And so what I've seen from you is just your unstoppability, if that's a word,
Mhm.
right?
We're making.
And this is going to be a word on the podcast. So you said a lot of things where I'm just like making these mental notes and I'm like, oh, I want to come back to that. I want to come back to that. But I still have a lot of things that I want to get to. So I want to continue. But you called yourself a walking statistic early in the beginning of your story. And in my mind, I rephrased that because a walking statistic, statistics can mean anything. It could be good, bad, and everything in
Mhm.
between. But what your story is more of a blessing. And
Mm.
so I'd call you, rather than a walking statistic, I call you a walking blessing.
Love that.
And it is something that allows people to see the goodness that's been placed in your life as
Mhm.
opposed to just the odds that you had to overcome, right? Because
Mhm.
we don't just focus on the challenges that we overcame. We focus on the fact that we overcame. There was something in your spirit that said that this is not going to stop me. The drive that you had even before you got into real estate, it speaks to who you are. And so
Mhm.
I just want to kind of reframe that for you as well. But I want to get into some of the aspects of your business
Yep.
because this is the Leverage Lounge. And so here we talk not just about the success and not just about the story, which is all very important, but we talk more about the how,
Mhm.
the things that most people don't talk about, the leverage points, the different levers in our business that has allowed us to scale from small business to big business.
Mhm.
And so one of the things that sets your business apart is your range. The fact that you go luxury home, short-term rental, off-market deals, new construction. I mean, you cover it all. So how do you maintain excellence across those different specialties without losing focus or burning out?
That's a great question. It is still niched in because currently mine and the team's specialty is helping to sell homes that failed to sell the first time. So expired listings and geo farming is really our niche. So we stay very focused on that because there is honestly such a tremendous amount of opportunity. And there's so many people who need to be served. There's so
Okay.
many people who had a goal to sell their house and it failed. And we get to come in, assess, and be honest with people, meaning we don't take all listings. If we aren't on the same page with the seller, if we feel like we can't best serve them, if we feel it's better they stay, like I feel like we're healing people every single day, even if we're not taking the listing, because we're just being honest, we're being authentic and genuine. And that's another part of my mantra. So I stay very focused on just that niche. And I like to say I'm a vibe check kind of person. So if you got good vibes and you got a goal to build wealth and financial freedom, I'm here to serve.
So it's an overall niche. It's simply expired or and for sale by owners.
More expireds right now, and then geofarming, which is where if we sell in certain communities, we are able to notify the community of the sale when we are on the market, any price drops, any open houses we're doing, and just get in front of more sellers and notify them of what's going on in the community. So that would say is our biggest niche. And then I believe every listing can get you more listings and more buyers. So any opportunity we have, we're getting buyers from that, we're getting other listings from that. So it's duplicating the efforts in that sale into more opportunities faster. And I feel it's a very rewarding line of business because, like I said, that person had a goal and they thought that goal was gone. And they
Yeah.
thought they failed. They thought they made the wrong choice. They reconsidered, should they do this? And you get to come in and if that goal happens, which many of them they do happen, the people are so grateful because they thought their dreams were dead.
So what systems or team structure helps you stay sharp across this niche? How is your structure?
So structure wise, we obviously go after, a lot of the expireds, right? And the goal is that from those expireds, you're able to do open houses, Most sellers actually have to sell to buy. So there's two transactions in that. You're getting into a community, so you're notifying other sellers in the area. So they are outbound prospectors. So they follow a winner schedule, right? So they know what they're doing in the morning, when to start outbound prospecting, because outbound prospecting gives you just so much control of your business, and they're not waiting for business to come to them. They're going after business. And that was the biggest aha I had in my real estate careers. I just was not waiting for the phone to ring. So I don't train agents to do the same. You have to have some version of dollar productive activity that you're doing 3 to 4 hours a day. So they are trained to hunt for business and for people to serve, to be able to have a leverage and then reach the goals that they need to reach. But I don't limit them, right? We teach them how to really go after their sphere, to nurture their database, again, to work with consumers who want to make a real estate transaction, right? At the end of the day, that's what we want to do. They're posting on social media, all their wins, the families they've helped, so they're staying relevant in the community. We even have agents on our team this year who won 35 under 35. One of our agents was out of 24,000 agents. You were there, you won an award too, but she won Rising Star, which was absolutely amazing. So we're really reshaping the identity of the agent to get into I'm a winner, I'm a hunter, I'm a producer, I can do this, I serve my community, and being consistent to be able to one day make the decision, hey, I want to buy into my own real estate and buy my own wealth, or hey, I want to start my own team, or hey, I want to serve more agents or serve more people, because they were able to heal themselves from the beginning. But I feel like this business model gives the fastest ROI, Mike, I would say, to if you were like, hey, I'm a new agent, I need to start business. If you started in this business model, you could become a top producer in less than 6 months if you follow the plan. It's a proven, repeatable process and system. It gives you back control on your business, and it gives you macros, right? I always like to say we have macros in life. Like I have 10,000 steps I get a day. I eat a specific amount of food per day, right? You follow a specific amount of times you go to the gym per week, right? It needs to be the same in your business. So they follow that exact same macro breakdown of what it takes to become successful. And then we just build from there.
So we're about to get into it then, because you open it up, and that's where I was going next. So 88 homes closed in 1 year. That's like elite volume. And I know from experience that doesn't happen by accident. So let's talk about the systems. Let's talk about the daily rhythms that makes that volume sustainable. Talk to us about this schedule and what this looks like on a step-by-step basis.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, you need a morning routine, meaning we don't wake up and walk into work. You have to, as an individual and an entrepreneur, pour into your cup first. So agents are given the blueprint of what to do right when they wake up. They wake up, they're not focused on work. Their phone's on D&D. They're writing in a gratitude journal, meditating, praying, going to the gym, going on a walk, spending time with loved ones, just getting in an immense state of gratitude. Because it's proof when you feel gratitude, you cannot feel negativity, and that just elevates their frequency and their cup, their energy. They're excited. They're ready to serve, right? You can't serve from a negative place in your heart. You can only serve from a grateful place. And then they follow the winter schedule of going into the jungle. What's the jungle, you ask? It's where you're alone. No one's in the room with you. Your phone's over there, and you are intentionally reaching out to consumers to serve, right? You are calling people from expireds, right? People who the lowest hanging fruit, I truthfully believe. You're past the database. You're reaching out to people who have the highest probability of making a sale. So let me rephrase that real quick. When you're in the 9 to noon jungle, be intentional, right? So if you're trying to call people with intention. So there are ways to have intentional buyer leads that have a higher chance of buying. This section that we get into is expired. So they already raised their hand saying, I want to sell. We're not calling into the blind, right? We are very intentional of who we're calling, and we're doing that for 3 to 4 hours a day. And we know the numbers that we need to reach to have the conversations that we need to have the appointments that we need to get to be able to consistently follow that for 5 to 6 days a week, right? And from that in the afternoons, that's when the rest of business happens. That's when the rest of real estate happens. What I love about this business model is you already got done with 2 of the things most people like to push off to the end of the day, where they end up usually not doing it, which is either like a workout or some version of a walk, and then your calls, right? So our days could be done at noon if needed. So the afternoon is really set for coaching, appointments, market analysis, market emails, reaching out to clients, handling inspections, handling appraisals, handling all the other fires that come in real estate. They don't come until afternoon because I control that, because we set that boundary. We set that boundary to not be interrupted because that's our dollar productive making time. The goal is they know that if they make X amount of calls per day and talk to X amount of people to get one listing appointment a day, that's the goal. One listing appointment every single day. Let's say you're on about 20 appointments per month. There's no way, and I mean no way, with the training that you get from me, that you aren't taking at least 3 to 4 or 5 listings that month, right? Once again, expires, for sale by owners. They've already either raised their hand saying, I want to sell a home. So it's not rocket science. They already tried to do it once. It's the lowest hanging fruit that most people are scared or don't want to go after, but it's the fastest way to make money.
Well, so let's go back to the schedule part of things, because I'm going to put myself in the role of an agent who's been in the business for maybe a couple of years, maybe their first 2 to 3 years. And now they're going to meetings. They have, Corinne, we have life that goes on. There's meetings that I have to go to. I don't know. There's other things that are going on in the middle of the day. I have to have lunch with my friends. I have to do other things that take up some of the time in my calendar. And so how can you expect me to lock down 3 to 4 hours a day of prospecting in the morning when I still have other things that get scheduled during that time? Are you just telling me that I just can't go to those meetings or I can't take those lunch appointments?
You're just going to switch up the schedule, right? Because at the end of the day, it's about your goals, right? If I was talking to you as a new agent and I said, what are your goals? What do you want to make yearly? How many people do you want to serve? How many houses do you want to sell? And you want to get to those goals, this is the answer to do that. There's no other way. You have to be in it 3 to 4 hours. And I feel the morning times are the best. And I do believe most other stuff can be pushed towards the afternoon. Honestly, I really can. Because it's not like I'm saying, hey, at 4 o'clock, then you start your day. I'm saying at 12. Nothing in real estate starts till after 12. I promise you that, right? And if you want to reach those goals and you're not in control of your business is going to control you and you will have no business. So then the other part of that challenge that I would challenge you, Mike, is I would look at your business. I would audit your business. How many listings do you have right now? How many buyer contracts do you have right now? How many pendings do you have right now? And if those aren't the numbers that I want to hear, I would say, how can you say that you have all these other things to put in place when you don't even have business going on right now?
First things first, huh? You say most real estate doesn't start until after 12, but I can guarantee you that agents that are listening to this are like, I get phone calls at 8 o'clock in the morning from my buyers and sellers. So what's the expectation that you're setting for your clients? What does that conversation look like for them to understand that this is how you've arranged your business, whether it's you or your agents, right? That you've arranged your business in this way and you will be available after 12 each day. What does that conversation look like? Or is that the way it works?
Yeah, I mean, it's setting very clear expectations with clients, meaning when I take a listing, I let them know that we are going to have a conversation every single Tuesday. You're going to get an email from me every single Monday. I would say texting you probably every other day. If you need anything, call me. If I don't answer, I will let you know that I will give you a call back. So usually if they do text me during that time, I'll say, hey, I'll call you after 12.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense to me. So like when I read your reviews online, there's a consistent theme. Your clients talk about your responsiveness, which is what we're talking about now, local knowledge, and negotiation power, which is fantastic. So how did you build those into repeatable systems so that every client feels the same level of service?
Well, in regards to communication, I'm an over communicator. So I will never wait for a client to call me and ask for an update. I provide the update first. I empathize with them so much that I'm like, okay, if I was selling my house right now, how would I want to be treated? I'd appreciate an update every single day. I'd appreciate someone educating me and letting me know what's going on. Because how many times do you walk into things that aren't your profession? Law, doctors, buying a car, just things that aren't your profession. And how much do you appreciate when someone takes the time to let you know that you matter? And your process matters. I'm not just a little fish in a big pond, right? So I make all my clients feel like that. Market knowledge, I'm not from the area, so I didn't have it, but I gained it through gaining experience, showing a bunch of homes, driving around, having a bunch of sales. You get to know it. But also in regards to market updates, I'm emailing my clients, especially my sellers, every single week, letting them know of actives, pending, sold. I'm checking in with the data from my mortgage companies. I'm checking in what's going on with title. I'm getting educated on what's going on with the number spectrum in real estate. And that instantly makes me the expert. And then Mike, as for the negotiation skills, I'm actually half Italian and I'm from New York. So that's just kind of in my blood. I remember growing up, my family would always be like, you need to be an attorney because you are not getting me out of an argument. Like if I had a case, I will go to the ends of the earth. And I didn't realize that I had that at such a young age that it really helped me in my real estate career, just being a
So
skilled
which one
negotiator.
helps you more? Is it the Italian side or the New Yorker side?
God, probably the New Yorker side.
Probably the New Yorker side. I would
Yeah,
probably,
for
I would
sure.
agree. In New York,
If you're from
you
New
know how
York,
to get a
straight
deal done,
shooter,
right?
straight shooter.
All right. So now, do you use tech or,
Yes.
communication cadences to maintain that consistency? What systems are you using in order to maintain? Because I can't imagine that you're manually sending emails, manually sending text messages, manually making phone calls every single time you have an update to all of these 20 or 50 listings that you might have on the team. What does that look like?
So leverage, scale, and delegates, obviously on the listings we have on the team, a lot of the agents were partnered and they're helping with the transaction. So they're handling a lot of the communication. Of course, on my own, I handle my own communication, but believe it or not, for the market updates, we really leverage, AI, ChatGPT for a lot of the information that we may not know. But truly, when it comes to showing them actives, pendings, and solds, I go in and I educate myself on that. That's going to help me have leverage to make sure that if a seller needs to drop a price or if we need to have a conversation of what's going on in the market, I'm aware. I don't delegate that off and I don't train my agents to do the same. If you want to sell a house, you need to know on a weekly basis what's going on in the community. Is there new current competition? Has something gone pending that should have been your house? Did something sell that's going to affect the price of your house? I don't delegate that off. There are a lot of other things I do delegate, but in regards to the consumer experience, to be honest, Mike, it is all me. My clients, when I'm on a texting rampage, like I will text, I will provide updates. I have behind me this whiteboard that shows me, actually, I got this from you, your top 20 people you'll convert in the next 90 days. That's right up there,
That's
right?
right.
So
The top 20
I'm just
help list.
yeah. And I am that person. You know how those people either have 1,000 missed calls or they have zero? I'm that person that has zero. Like I have a sense of urgency in regards to responsive time. And I'm just really good at prioritizing and being strategic and problem solving. So I can put in order if there needs to be a response time for this person over this thing, over that thing. I can kind of compartmentalize it in my brain of
Yeah.
who needs to get heard from first. It's just a skill set, right? And that skill set with sense of urgency kind of develops over time. That's what separates the real estate expert advisors from the average agents.
I would agree with that. How do you make sure that that is still happening with your team? Because you said that you're still in production. And so
Mhm.
you're handling a lot of your own stuff. The rest of the team, they handle a lot of their own communication.
Mhm.
How do you make sure that they're having that same sense of urgency that you have?
Definitely weekly trainings, weekly coaching calls. I'm constantly sharing things that I'm doing versus what's working, what's not working. But with the format of the team, there's a proven blueprint. There's a 30, 60, 90-day checklist that they have to go through, and there's trainings that they have to go through. So they're not just going in blind, right? They know the expectation. And naturally, I feel like I've attracted very responsive agents because to be honest, if you are not a responsive agent or have a sense of urgency, you probably wouldn't be on my team to begin with. So I know my own avatar on what's really important to me, right? The rest I can train. So on my team, they obviously have a skip trace system, Redex, that they call from every single day. That's set for them. They don't have to figure it out. They know the scripts on what to say. That's set for them. They don't have to figure it out. When they go to a listing appointment, there's an entire marketing package that they bring. That's set. They don't have to figure it out. When it comes to inputting the listings, if they get a listing into the MLS, that's set. They don't have to do it. They don't have to figure it out. So I put a lot of other things in place so it takes that back from them. So really all they're responsible for, wake up with good energy, call consumers and change lives, get to some listing appointments, get the listing, get it sold, communicate. It's very simple. I'm not giving you a task of like 100 things to do. I think I just named 5 things. You do those 5 things every single day, 5 days a week. That's how you build the business. Rest of it is done. Meaning I watch agents wear so many hats that they don't know what to do or if they're doing it right or staying consistent in it. They're trying to do it all. I say, do what you do best, delegate the rest. So we leverage a VA, we leverage an ISA, we leverage a skip trace system, we leverage a CRM for auto campaigns systems. So the agents know, hey, your current listings touch your clients, text them, call them, give them updates, email them once a week, make calls, get more listings. It's very, very simple when you actually break it down. They're not really having to try to figure out that much more.
Now, do you have a learning management system that they're leveraging as well, that you're leveraging as well, where it already has pre-recorded videos on how-tos that they are able to go through? You mentioned a 30, 60, 90-day system that they go through. Is that part of that?
Yep. So they plug into videos, coaching videos, the second that they go through an interview process with us. We hire them. They start watching trainings, videos, learning the script, the tools. We actually recently just hired a coach onto our team too, because again, we're looking to get to different levels on this team. He was a previous Tony Robbins coach. So they have time with him twice a week where they're getting on calls with him as well too, going over a lot of things regards to sales systems,
Okay.
scripts, tonality, all that stuff. So they're plugged and played into an entire schedule. And then they have, specific macros to go to. They know that they want to get the results. They need to follow the blueprint. They need to follow the script, the calls, the systems to call from, the days a week to do it. And of course, most importantly, mindset. So mindset is a big formation in the beginning stages of
Absolutely.
the team. So we're really shifting mindset and belief systems before we even really get started.
You had to shift your belief on what was
Yeah.
possible before you even got into the real estate side of things. You had to shift your belief in order to start making the cold calls that you began
Mhm.
making. Even in the insurance side of the business, you had to shift your belief. Okay, this is what I have to do now. This is where I am. And yes, I can make these phone calls. That translated into real estate. That translated into you having success in your real estate career. That translated into you being a great team leader. All of these things are important, but it all starts with your belief and mindset. So I'm glad you said that. Now, are there any roles or responsibilities that you intentionally held on to and then others you chose to delegate early?
So I like to say, as just any individual, always be in your joy and genius. So what that means is that do something every single day that gives you joy and then spend a lot of time in the thing that you're best at. So what really gives me joy is teaching and healing others. And what I am best at is outbound prospecting. So I
Mm,
really stick into those two things, meaning I didn't go to try to figure out how do I start a YouTube channel now or how do I make a bunch of Instagram reels. I delegated a lot of social media. I delegated my website. I delegated my marketing. I delegated inputting listings. I delegated a lot of campaigns. I delegated a lot of that. And if it comes into something where it's not my joy and genius, it gets delegated. It's not even questioned.
You're like a spokesperson for the Leverage Lounge podcast. I want you to know that.
Leverage,
Like
leverage,
you're
leverage.
talking about delegation and leverage. You're talking about how agents are wearing so many hats at the same time, and it's keeping them from the success that they need to have. And you started doing it early. And that's one of the reasons why I asked that question. Quick break. If you're listening to this and thinking, I need help managing my communication with my clients, or I need back end systems, or just keeping up with lead flow, it's time to hire smarter. Go visit smarthireva.com. We place trained real estate savvy virtual assistants who help agents like Corinne protect their time and scale without burnout. You don't need to hustle harder. You need to hire smarter. All right. So back to the show. All right. Corinne, are you ready for the lightning round?
I'm excited. I've been waiting for this.
Come on, somebody. All right. So this is the hot seat. 3 or 4 quick questions. I'm going to allow you to answer the question, but then I'll let you dive into it. But I'm going to ask them quick. You're going to answer them quick. And then I'll say, tell us a little bit more. All right. Ready to go?
Go.
All right. What's your favorite kind of deal to work and why?
Expired listings is the lowest hanging fruit.
Okay. That was easy.
Yep.
What's a local spot in Orlando that you always recommend to out of towners?
Ritz-Carlton Spa. That's the first.
Ritz-Carlton Spa.
I like to keep
Okay,
it.
bougie. Let's go. Tell me about it.
Well, I just think that self-care is so important. So if you want to attract abundance and you want to get into this place of, scaling and growing, I believe you have to take care of yourself first. So it's a non-negotiable for me that you have to, do a lot of self-care.
Okay. And does Ritz-Carlton just do it best? Is that what it is?
I just love going to their spa. I mean, they have the
Okay.
amenities. You just feel luxurious the whole day. You're relaxing. It just feels like you're in a little oasis. So that is one thing I recommend for people to go to and enjoy that experience.
Sounds like I need to learn how to start taking care of myself a little bit better. I like that. All right. What's one non-negotiable in your daily routine that keeps you grounded?
Meditation.
Tell us about it.
So I actually just recently got back for a conference where I really learned the ins and outs of the importance of meditation and being grounded. And it's just been put into my schedule and now it's a non-negotiable for me. Personal development was always a non-negotiable for me, but that's too broad. But this is now a activity that is a dedicated time that my life and my phone and my work and everything and everyone is off for at least an hour. And I'm just with myself. And it's been very life-changing to do that every single day.
You told me that you went to that conference and you meditated for how many hours?
35.
35 hours of meditation. Clearly that wasn't all in, like you ate, right? This wasn't all in one shot.
7 days. One of the meditations though was 5.5 hours.
And
It was
nobody said anything. This is just you sitting there is this guided meditation? I don't know what it is.
It is guided. You
Okay.
are in a room, there's music, there's guidance, you have a mask on to stay really focused. But it's extremely life-changing because it really helps you detach from your current reality, which is, I didn't realize how important it was to make sure that that is a priority every single day, because sometimes we're so in it. There's so much negativity in the world. There's so much things we have access to on social media that sometimes you just need to shut it off. And it's not like I'm telling you guys shut it off for 35 hours a week, because then how would you work or make money? 1 hour a day, right? And it's a compound effect. It's a compound effect of 1 hour a day of a workout. Every single day having macros, every single day having 10,000 steps. You're not going to see it in 2, 3, 5 days, but you'll see it in 2, 3, 5 months, right?
Yeah.
And then it compounds and it compounds. It's like compounding interest. We love compounding interest because at the end of it, you're like, holy crap, I'm rich. And it's like, it was compounding the whole time. And it's the same thing with your personal development, and it tailors into your business.
Great book, The Compounding Effect by Darren Hardy. It's the exact same idea, right? Whatever you
I
do,
love
you
that
can
book.
do it at small bites, and it compounds over time, and that's where you see the benefit, right? The power of momentum. And so, last question: what's the one thing that you do that 95% of agents ignore, but makes all the difference in how you scale your business?
So the one thing I do that helps me continue to scale my business is leading with authenticity. I feel like leading with authenticity is such a proven system that I feel like the more authentic you are, the more wins you have. And what is being authentic, right? It's caring about others before you care for yourself. It's going in, having no ill intention or caring about just the material or the money aspect of it. It's really caring about the person. I feel like, again, it was in my subconscious that I was always going at it from a place of true unconditional love in my business with my team. And I feel like the abundance comes back. So instead of course, mentioning things that everyone wants to hear, oh, I'm on the phones all day, or I'm, at these video shoots, or I'm with these meetings, just again, the material, the tangible, I want to take it back to one thing that if you can shift that frequency and that mindset, so many opportunities can open. So that was the first thing that came to my mind.
Abundance. Making sure that we're operating in abundance as opposed to a scarcity mindset can change everything. Like you said, it opens doors, it opens windows of opportunities, windows of blessings that pour into your life, because I believe that God knows what you're going to do with what he gives you. And so if you have the right heart for people, then our blessings come typically through people. He allows us to, just like right now, the challenges that you went through, that's why I call you a walking blessing, right? Because now it's not about the blessing that you receive, but it's how you're able to bless others, right? Through what you've been given, what you've learned, what you've experienced. And now you're sharing that openly on a platform like this and others. I think it's beautiful.
No,
I think it's beautiful.
absolutely. I like to say if you heal others, you'll heal yourself. But honestly, Mike, there was a point where when I was getting the results that I was getting, the one question I asked myself is, if you take an agent and you have them do the same script at the same time, calling the same people, why is one person getting results over the others? I almost did my own split test on it. And the agent that came from a fear-based mindset, a fear-based frequency, never won. They were doing it every day. They were calling the same people. They were saying the same things. They were getting no results. And then that's when it clicked. The aha wasn't the actions. The aha was, what frequency are you going into the call? Because that is what makes all the results. If you have a fear-based mindset, people are going to feel that, and then they're going to feel fear. But if you go in with a confidence-based mindset and you go in with a love-based mindset, I can make any agent win when I can just do that 2 millimeter shift into that.
So do you tell your agents to make sure they're standing up to make these phone calls, that they're listening to the right stuff before they make these phone calls? Are they listening to some Tony Robbins or anything before they start pounding the prospecting calls? Or is there anything that you do to get their mind right and ready?
I train them on the same things I do. I'm like, guys, write down what you're grateful for every day. Don't get up and go to work. Go get in a good workout. Pour into yourself. We always share podcasts. We're sharing books constantly. We have a lot of coaching programs that people can listen to. We're not a scarcity team. We're an abundance team. We open the playbook. We share, and we are there for each other. Because listen, life will happen. It will want to get into your brain to continue to bring you down. And it's just about how fast you're going to get out of the gap and get into the gain. And because I cannot control the environment. I cannot control the weather. I can't control who's president. I can't control interest rates. I can't control anything, but I can control my mindset. If I can just focus on that control, then it will help me with my external environment. We're training that every single day. That's the first part of it.
So as we talk about The Gap and the Game, that's another great book by Dan Sullivan, The Gap and the Game. Those of you listening to this, if you have not read that book, make sure you go check that one out. It gets you in the right mindset and helps you to focus on the right things, the abundance mindset versus the scarcity mindset. It might be a self-check for you because you may not even understand that you are thinking in a scarcity fear-based mindset. Sometimes you don't know, and sometimes it takes something or someone to point it out to you, and you realize that that's where all your blessings have been stored up. And once you change that, you unlock that door, it could all flow towards you. So Corinne, I want to give you the floor. I want to let people know where they can find you, where they can connect with you, or even learn more about the Be Infinite group. Is there anything exciting that you have coming up that people should know about?
Well, I would say what's exciting is, we are continuing to hire talent onto the team to shift and heal agents to just triple their business and absolutely dominate the market with the shifting market that we're getting into. I am offering back up my coaching services, my one-on-one coaching services. The website we have is beinfinite.group. But what I will say, Mike, is if people email me, which I know you'll put the email in the show notes, I will actually give some love for free. I will send over my winter weekly schedule where you can instantly just get access on what schedule to follow. 6 days a week. I like to say 7 days a week, but the 7th day you'll see is a day where you take for yourself, your family, your loved ones, and you recharge. But I'll give that away for free if they just go ahead and email me. Instagram's Corinne the Realtor, and then email is going to be corinne.dephillipus@exprealty.com.
Well, I've had a front row seat to Corinne's growth, and what you just heard is not just numbers, and I think you felt that. This is a masterclass in clarity, consistency, and smart leverage. So if you're a high-performing agent, a team leader, or somebody who just wants to scale without giving up your whole soul, this episode was for you. And if this was helpful at all to you, then please like, comment, subscribe, and share with somebody else who needs to hear it. And don't forget, the full archive is waiting for you at leveragewithmike.com. This is the Leverage Lounge. I'm Mike Collier. Let's scale smarter. See you next time.